Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm back after it's been about a good week. I think it's been a week. No, I'll take that back. There was some videos that I had made, but they needed some serious editing, so I decided to just delete them. But I did make those videos about a week ago. I just never put them on YouTube. But let me show y'all. Well, I can't show y'all. I can only tell y'all about what had happened. So, as y'all, I'm pretty sure y'all know, I'm not on the best terms with my mother, whom I haven't seen in 6 years. Now, like I said in the last video, I told y'all that my father and my stepmother came into town. You know, and of course, I haven't seen them in 6 years until they showed up last week and took us out to eat and whatnot. And we had some quite brief, father and son time, if you will, and I guess stepmother time, if you will. But yeah, with that said, I'm not on the best terms with my mother. If I haven't said that before, even though I'm pretty sure I've stated this, I've at least implied it at the very least. And come to think of it, I never had men. I don't think I've ever had men. I guess I'm just one of those several of children who just has to find a way to basically sever ties with at least one of their parents, if not both. Now, having said that, even before my father came out here to Colorado, I would talk to him. It wouldn't be on some everyday type stuff. Well, bro, my mother, not my stepmother, my actual mother, my biological mother, was on this whole thing of trying to talk to me at least once a week. Now, I'm gonna go into what's going on, or what's been going on. But bro, the funny thing is, she texted me a couple of days ago because I had gotten my phone switched out because my last phone, it just short circuited. I mean, it was always acting funny style, and I didn't know what the hell the problem was, but it just fizzled out on me. Like, the whole screen is just all jacked up. So I had to get this other phone, and I never bothered to give my mother the new phone number. So, having said that, I know it was my brother who gave it to her. And then she's over here talking about some, call me, and I had to come to terms with that and say, no, I'm not gonna call you. And I never even bothered to tell her. I didn't say nothing. But what's funny is that I'm out here in this park where, again, there's silence, there's solace. Ain't nobody out here fucking with me. This is what makes the Colorado experience worth it. When there's people around, when there's dickheads all over the place running around the gap, not minding their own business, that's what makes motherfuckers want to get up and run out of Colorado. Colorado would be a very beautiful place were it not for all the dickheads running around here trashing the trains, trashing the streets, got litter all over the place, and got it smelling like piss and vomit. It's disgusting. But anyway, so I deleted and blocked my mother's phone number. And even though I don't celebrate the 4th or anything like that, I don't celebrate no pagan holidays. It's been about almost 2 weeks since. It probably has been, in fact, let's see, 14 days. Yeah. So the 4th, yeah. So it's been well over 2 weeks since the 4th. And it's been a good while since I've seen any kind of fireworks. But bro, believe me when I tell y'all, as crazy as it is, as much as it's one of them you can't make this stuff up stores, bro, as soon as I deleted and blocked my mother's phone number, I saw some fireworks, get shot up in the air. And yeah, it was over around there. And yeah, you don't see them now because yeah, it was quiet and whatnot. And it's it's about 9 to midnight. That's crazy, bro. That to me, that was wild. I don't know, bro. I don't know if that was the universe's way of celebrating my growth, my ability to understand, and basically just let go of something that obviously ain't going nowhere. Obviously, and it never did. And people, I grew up with my mother. It's not like I'm an orphan or where I got sent to child protective services or something. It's not like I didn't grow up with my mother, but like I was telling one of my tenants, the kind of relationship that I had with my grandmother was more of a mother-son relationship than it ever was with my actual mother. And I grew up with my mother. I lived with my mother. And it's like she's trying to, I can't even say rekindle. She's trying to kindle something, trying to kindle a relationship out of me that just never was. It just never was. Because her narcissism simply would not allow her to be a mother when it was time for her to be a mother. I guess she just thought that because she was there and doing the basics, that's what made her a mother. No, that made you a caretaker. That made you a guardian at best. I mean, that's a guard. I mean, that's the. I mean, there is a thin line between a parent and a guardian, or even a caretaker. I mean, for all that, I could have had my stepmother to do that. There are just some people who simply do not understand what it means to be a parent. Who simply do not have the ability to listen when their children are expressing certain concerns and things that's going on in their life. And the thing about it is, in the toughest times in my life, all these family members, because I don't know if I told y'all this too, is that I had a cousin and an uncle who came out here, 6 years after the fact. This has happened all this year, bro. All of this, I mean, these visitations have happened this year. 6 years after the fact, since we dipped from Memphis. By we, I'm talking about me and my brother. And they're doing the same exact thing that they were doing when I was young. Offering me bullshit advice. And I mean, I genuinely do not know. And I'm not talking about my father. I'm talking about, the likes of my mother, my cousin, and even my uncle. And I genuinely, here's what I don't get. Here's what to this day, I have yet to really know. I genuinely do not know whether or not they are being genuine in their so-called advice, or they genuinely believe that I'm that fucking stupid to believe whatever kind of advice that they're giving me. And that I'm just supposed to fall for the okie doke. Which side of the spectrum that is it's not even relevant. It's not even relevant. All I know, all it has done is reveal to me just how conniving, deceitful, and manipulative they really are. Which is exactly why I'm out here. Which is why, there is a dividing line that has been set before me by the hand of the Most High Himself. And they just can't seem to grasp that. They just can't seem to understand it. I don't think they genuinely understand that I actually know a thing or two in that book. I dare say better than, and by the book I mean the Bible. The very thing that we so-called Christians should know. But Christians don't know the Bible, do they? Israelites know the Bible because it's our book. You would think the Christian, but when you truly understand the religion of Christianity, it goes without saying, and its origins, because again, the Negroes of the past who were fed Christianity weren't allowed to read. So it's, again, history's repeating itself, y'all. That's why I'm saying I saw Christianity for the what's the word I'm looking for? For the banana and the tailpipe, if you will, that it is. For the facade that it is. That's why I renounced Christianity and I took up what some would call Hebrewism. I denounced religion altogether. Because even in the confines of Christianity, there was a phrase that was called not religion, relationship. So, where you stand with the Creator, what you believe as far as the Creator, it shouldn't be like, oh, this is your religion, this is your God, and He's just some faraway deity that we're not like. No, it's a relationship. That's how it's supposed to be. The relationship that you have with the Father, our Father who art in heaven. And yes, He's God. Yes, He's the creator of all heaven and earth. Yes, He's not only a God, He is the God. But it's not in the same context like the Buddhist has with Buddha. And that's how Christianity does God. But and it's very interesting too, now that I brought that up, how Christianity does God. This is how a lot of our family members do us. We just something to pick up when the thought of us comes around. Other than that, we're to be used, abused, exploited, and manipulated. And I was just thinking about something, y'all. I wanna get real deep about my history, and I think I told y'all this about my little lackluster love life, so called, or the lack of, if you will. Because every blue moon, right? And it's not like this happens every single day, but every blue moon, the women that I did have somewhat of a connection with, because I'm gonna tell it like it is, bro. Me and women as a whole, we just never connected. We never connected. And it amazes me how, and now I have somewhat of an understanding of what's going on when women do connect with certain males. Particularly Keisha, and how she can connect with the thug because the thug is an agent of chaos. So she relates to that. Whereas when she sees quiet, peaceful, like that's the antithesis of what she's composed of. She's comprised of chaos, of mania. But yeah, it's wild, bro. I'm lying. I'm not lying to y'all that as soon as I deleted and blocked my mother's phone number, I saw some fireworks shoot off in the sky, like as if it was almost as if God was applauding me or something. And like I said, it's not like, cause bro, I mean, what was that? Cause like I said, I ain't seen damn fireworks since. I ain't seen damn fireworks really like that since the 4th, which was, like I said, 2 weeks ago. But y'all know how some folks do it. They want to shoot whatever fireworks they didn't manage to shoot off during the 4th. Yeah, I don't know if y'all noticed, but it's illegal everywhere in Denver. It's only like certain parts of Aurora where fireworks are allowed to be shot in the first place, but they'll shoot them anyway. You know how like it was in Memphis. But like I said, this ain't my city. Even though I've been here 6 years, I still consider it. I'm like, look, I don't know the rules and regulations of, like, I don't know what, like, shit, like I said, bro, these folks, you know, just like I was handling Memphis with kid gloves, I'm out here handling Denver with kid gloves. I don't know what's the premise of you know, crossing paths with the trigger happy DPD. So what the fuck am I gonna get some fireworks for and shoot them out? But anyway, back to, to get off that tangent. So, having said that, bro, I've met some trashy ass, garbage ass females, and and damn if I didn't. Man, when I tell y'all that I've met some garbage ass females in my life, and this is coming from an introvert, bro. How does an introvert run into some of the sorriest, most pathetic excuse of females this planet has ever seen, bro? How does that happen? Well, with that said, I have actually run into several young ladies in the past that not only did I connect with more or less, but one in particular, I fucked around and caught a love buzz. And it's not like, bro, we didn't have sex, we didn't kiss, we probably hugged once, but you know, somebody finally broke it down to me that it don't take none of that. It don't take physical intimacy. All it can take as minute as sitting down and having a meal with them, and you connect with them. You connect with that individual. You connect with her beauty, her femininity, her, you know, and that's how. And you know, a lot of these savages that I ran into in the past didn't seem because they was too busy leading with their booties. Because at the end of the day, that's really all they had. No understanding of femininity, no understanding, and living in a society that didn't hold them to that standard. So, of course, they led with their butts. And nobody can't seem to figure out why the communitah is in the shambles that it's in. And for the first time ever in my life at 23, I finally got a chance to deal with a female who was insanely beautiful and actually knew how to lead with her femininity instead of the circumference of her butt. And most likely that's because she didn't have a whole lot of butt. Not that I was paying a great deal of attention to her butt. I didn't have to. I was madly in love. So having said that, bro, I won't labor too long about what happened. It didn't work out and all this other stuff. And bro, but I'm here to say though, bro, when it ended, it ended. It was almost like within the snap of a finger, God just removed these people out of my life. These two women out of my life. Just like that. And over the years, over the years, even now, I'm literally haunted by the memory of my interactions with these two ladies, especially the first one, because I fell hopelessly in love with her. The second one, not so much. It's like with the second one, it was almost like I kind of learned to love her or something like that, and that's just where I left it as far as closure. And I was just thinking something to myself, and I told my mother about this too, because I told her when I was reeling from the second girl, the fact that, you know, I had to make terms with the fact that, because the first one I finally made terms with the fact that I'll never see her again. And not only will I never see her again, I'll never run into a woman like her. The same kind of femininity, the same kind of, you know, the things that really do work as far as getting a man to like a woman. Not this toxic shit that's most, if not damn near all females lead with, and a nigga's supposed to just fall hopelessly and haplessly in love. I mean, get the fuck out of here. How does that work? You a toxic, manipulative bitch and a nigga's supposed to fall hopelessly in love with you? I mean, what the fuck? Make it make sense, y'all. But this is what's been presented to us for so many years, and then you finally see one who ain't like that, or at least you think they not like that. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna have a different, it's gonna hit different. But now you supposed to be making it work with toxic bitch, with bitch who's out here just creating a whole bunch of drama and a whole bunch of chaos. And how's that been working for you, huh, Memphis? How's that been working for you since that little church's chicken incident? But hey, that's y'all culture, that's y'all standards. That's what y'all do. And everybody down there is too much of a chicken shit to call it out. So, it is what it is. But that ain't what I was dealing with, which is probably why it took a time, like being at the age of 23. Not middle school, not high school, college. I was in college. First time I genuinely fell in love. Genuinely. Hopelessly. And like I said, even to this day, after, you know, going through the 4 or 5 stages of grief, however many it is, you know, have been passed through the acceptance phase, which is the last phase of the last stage of grief. To this day, bro, every now and then, I find myself being haunted by the memories of those two females. Sometimes it's one female, sometimes it's another. It's the other. That's just how it works. But something hit me. Just as I told my mother about how most recently I'd been reeling about the second female, you know, who came in and left just as abruptly as the last one, as the one before her. With me being a man of the universe, with me being a man of reciprocity, because just as the laws of physics states, Newton's first law of motion, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. Or is that, no, excuse me, that's Newton's third law, excuse me. Yeah. That's Newton. Yeah, Newton's first law is an object in motion tends to stay in motion. It tends to stay in motion. So with me adhering to Newton's third law of motion, with me being a man of reciprocity, with me lining up and aligning with the universe in accordance to how I'm being treated on this earth, How fair is it? Now, now level with me, y'all. Stay with me. How fair is it for me to still, after all these years, still have to reel from the grief of accepting, not necessarily losing, because they would never mind to be had, but being separated from females who were clearly toxic, that, you know, the Most High removed from me, and at some point revealed to me the why they had to be removed. I'm not going to go into that, but yeah, that's another video for another time. How fair is it for me to be in a state of mourning, in a state of grief, or at the very least just being haunted by the memories of these exceptionally beautiful women, these exceptionally intelligent women, in contrast to the garbage ass females that I've dealt in the past and the garbage ass females that I deal with to this very day. See, this is what prompted me to call it quits with my mother, because I had to come to realize, we all know that don't nobody care about what men are going through, don't nobody care about, you know, what men have to suffer and all that. I'm like, okay, we've established that. Yet and still, we wondering why most men are throwing up their hands and basically saying, I quit. Why we're quitting women. And hey, if it wasn't for the fact that I was dealing with those two females, I would have been quit women, bro. Cause it was nothing to connect. It was just like coming out the wood. I mean, I might as well have been Adam in the Garden of Eden, and then not even so much as Eve coming out, but Lilith coming out, causing the whole mess. Just, I mean, that was the same shit. That was my relationship with, or my interactions at the very least, with the female. It was about as comparable as that to Adam's relationship with Lilith, Adam's first wife. So, having said that, like I said, to me, it just finally dawned on me, with me reeling, for the most part this year, I was reeling for the second girl, and I had to come to terms that I'll never see her again. And they probably wouldn't have it any other way. This wasn't some love connection gone terribly wrong. This wasn't Romeo and Juliet, bro. I mean, I'm fully aware of the reality of the situation. The first one, I was basically the rebound nigga, you know, because she had come out of a bad abusive relationship. And the second one, I was just a nigga in her orbit. I mean, there was nothing special going on between us. Nothing. Despite me revealing to them the kind of ninja that I am, the kind of gifts, and I had to learn to stop doing that. Because at this point, I'm like, even if I was willing to deal for female, I'm going to need you to lay out just what it is you see in me. Because everything that I've done, everything that you would think would set me apart, you know, that I would think would set me apart from the other Negro, I'm like, you found a way to disqualify that shit. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not a basketball player, I'm not a rapper, I'm not a gangbanger, I don't do none of this shit. So you gonna have to let a ninja know just what it is you see in a nigga. Because it's obviously, it ain't the foreign languages, it ain't the STEM, it ain't none of that shit. So what is it? Oh, and it ain't the fact that apparently I'm handsome. So what is it? Again, having said all that, is it fair? Let me ask y'all something. Is it fair for me, knowing my fate, knowing that I will probably spend the rest of my life womanless? I've accepted that. That's not what, I'm not here to get y'all to go on a pity party with me and so we all just crying. I mean, we're MGTOW, we're Red Pill, we're well beyond that. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't touch none of these toxic American bitches with 100-foot pole. They're some of the most toxic, manipulative, satanic beings I've ever seen in my motherfucking life. I mean, it's unbelievable. If anything, I feel sorry for the niggas who have been selected to deal with them, because they get it worse. We the lucky ones. You know, it's crazy because, you know, with all this thugism going on, all this bullshit, these low IQ savages are just now starting to figure out that being square and being out and staying out the way was the game all along. Like, no, really? You just now figuring that out? Staying out the way? Not being a class clown, not being a goon, not being a thug. What you doing all that for, bro? You doing too much. What's all this energy for? We know, because you trying to impress Keisha. So you willing to risk life and limb and time in the booty house where you lose your freedom and lose your dignity too, because you literally fighting for your booty all over Keisha. Keisha's good can't be that good. I know it's not that good. If anything, it's bad, because hey, look at all the HIV cases that are coming up in Houston. Because, you know, Atlanta used to be the hotbed for HIV. Now it's Houston, and hey, Memphis too. And I told y'all about Memphis, how the hoes down there ain't even fine like that. So you ain't even getting the benefit. You ain't even getting the benefit of, you know, some porn star quality coochie like you would in Atlanta, to say the least. So you getting the clap, you getting the incurable cruds just from some basic ass females. Pitiful. But again, let me ask y'all this. Is it fair for me to be going through what I'm going through? And, you know, I mentioned that, you know, I've only had 2 women in my life that, you know, I genuinely had a connection with. But that's actually untrue. There was a 3rd woman that I had in my life that I had a connection with, that I could actually relate to, and that was my grandmother. And my grandmother, and you know, there was something that my grandmother told me a long time ago that for some odd reason has stuck to me. She said that, you know, with me being your grandmother, I'm just as much of a mother than your mother, because I'm your grandmother. And the truth of the matter is, my grandmother was more of a mother to me than my actual mother. Whenever I had problems with girls, I would go to my grandmother. I would talk to my grandmother about these issues. I mean, it's just something that it was just the motherly presence that my grandmother provided me with in my ups and downs in life that my mother never did. You know, it's not to say that my mother was never there for me, but, you know, it's just the whole thing of her just doing the bare minimum at me at best. All the while, for the most part, it was just shame, blame, and explain, gaslighting, manipulation. You know, when it came to my mother. You know, she was literally like the the epitome of, you know, that evil stepmother off of I believe that German film, that German tall tale, Cinderella. Ain't that the one where, you know, Cinderella got like some evil twin, or not even evil twin sisters, just evil sisters, and an evil stepmother. Speaking of stepmother, you know, when my stepmother came out here with my father, now for years, I'm not gonna go into, you know, my thoughts about my stepmother, but to say the very least, they weren't very good thoughts. Now, like I said, I mean, they were thoughts of distrust or mistrust, whatever you call it. But I saw something that day, and it took me all this time to realize, you know, with all the negative thoughts that I've had in my head about my stepmother, which again, I'm not going to go into, I saw something that I'm pretty sure I've seen and been exposed to plenty of times during my time in Memphis when she would come from Alabama, where she's originally from, and still lives there actually, to visit my father. It took me all this time, despite having met her daughters, despite the numerous times that, like I said, she came to Memphis to see him, to see us. By us, I mean me and my brother. For me to realize this, because this is something that's been going on at least since 2010. I find, and it took me up like 14 years after the fact to realize something. My father is happy. My father wants to be with my stepmother. My father is happy with my stepmother. It wasn't no bickering, no arguing. I mean, and it's crazy because now that I'm thinking about it, I can't tell you the times, and you know, it wasn't, you know, it never got to no physical, you know, altercations and nothing like that, you know, which is a common thing in Memphis, knowing Memphis. But man, I can't tell you how many times, you know, I've overheard, and yeah, that for all you parents out there, yeah, your children can hear you. You can send them to bed all you want. It doesn't turn off their ears. They can hear you. And I remember, as, you know, 12, 13, 14, however old I was, the countless times that my mother and father would just bicker the same way that my mother and I would bicker. Now, who do you think amongst that party were the culprits of that bickering? We already know the answer. We know the answer. Men aren't bickering creatures unless we have a reason to bicker about. Versus the woman, especially Keisha, and with my mother being a black woman, just like I'm a black man. Just saying, we already know the elements. We already know the elements to that equation. But having seen my stepmother, and after so many years, along with my father, and the way that they were, you know, the way that they were, and that's the thing, they were like flirting and bantering, and they've been married for quite some time now. And I'm like, bro, that's how a genuine relationship is supposed to be. Like, I mean, like, even after all these years, it hasn't lost any novelty. You know, it's almost like they're still on their honeymoon phase. And it took me all this time to realize that they are still, and not once. I mean, I'm not saying it don't happen. I'm sure it happens all the time. And you know, they talk, you know, they crap talk each other and whatnot, but it's in the spirit of bantering though. It's banter, it's flirting. It's not finger pointing, it's not accusations. It's not bickering like I saw between my mother and my father, like I saw when I would get into it with my, or better yet, she would get into it with me. The things that I saw and the things that I endured with my mother from the time I was living with her, when, because my dad was on active duty. So for a good while, he was overseas somewhere, either overseas or in, he was, in other parts of the South, like, Fort Benning, Alabama, Army bases down there. But I just thought about something. It finally hit me. Because I see what my mother's trying to do. She's trying to rekindle the relationship that I had during the times that, I needed to move in my grandmother's house because, I just fell on hard times. And, coming from Memphis, living in Memphis, that ain't nothing new. That ain't nothing but the story. Falling on hard times. It's hard living in Memphis. That's what I'm saying, bro. Denver ain't showing me nothing I ain't seen 50 million gazillion times. That's what I'm saying. Denver trying to show its ass. I'm like, the only way you gonna be able to show your ass is to show a nigga some ass. That's the only way. But all this bickering, all this bullshitting that you trying to do, like you gonna scare a nigga away, it ain't gonna work, bro. You ain't built like that. Try to tell these Denverites they hard-headed as fuck. You're going to have to show some butt, like butt cheeks, from the best and finest of your females, the few of them that you have. But let me go and get to my question. With me suffering still from the haunting memories of the females, including my grandmother, who's no longer with us because she passed away about 5 years ago, is it fair, having endured what I had to endure with my mother, for her to have access to me when I no longer have access to the women whom I loved dearly, whether or not that love was reciprocated? Because of those 3 women, there's only one that I can truly and genuinely say that love was indeed reciprocated, and the other 2 I know for a fact it wasn't. Which is why I can say that even if these women were, by some one or the other, were to come back to my life, do you really think I would take either or back? There was a time, I'm gonna be honest, there was a time I probably would have, like a fool. Because it is in a man's nature to defend women, to protect women, and women understand this. And some of the most diabolical of women understand this and use it to their advantage. And that's all I've seen throughout the course of my life. I've seen the woman an introvert like me has seen the woman in her utmost satanic form. I'm willing to say that. In her utmost satanic form. A direct empress and practitioner of Satanism. Not to say that that's my mother, but hey, let's call it what it is. She's a Christian. And like I said, we Israelites, we've been denounced Christianity. We see Christianity for what it is. We see Christianity as the other side of Satanism. With all its deception, with all its gaslights, with all its manipulation of the scriptures, how is it not Satanism? How is it not the other flip side coin of Satanism? The Bible says, thou shalt not commit murder. But what's Memphis full of? Murder. How you going to sit up here and say that you got a church on every corner but your city's producing well over dang near 400 homicides. And then on top of that, be okay with that shit. Be perfectly fine with that. I mean, not only the shedding of blood, the shedding of innocent blood, the shedding of children's blood. And you turn a blind eye to that shit? That's one of the main reasons why, like I said, man, and one thing I had to recant about this, I basically had to repent of this, is this whole notion of me going back to Memphis that I was talking to my father about. Because I'm like, bro, that's it. That's a wrap. That's it. I had to check myself. If Ruach HaKodesh, which, is Hebrew for the Holy Spirit, didn't, I'm like, bro, that's it. A thought just came to mind and said, that's it. No, you are done with Memphis, and Memphis is done with you. Congratulations, Ninja. You survived. And so many of people down there, how many of them can say that? Death is the consequence of enabling a society that promotes murder. You ain't got nobody to complain to when your card is pulled, when it's your turn to get murdered. And I don't want to make this video about that lady. I mean, my condolences go out to her and her family, but we know what it is down there in Memphis. We know what it is. So it's nothing short of a surprise that what happened over some chicken, or over some beef, some unresolved beef that they been had, because they said them two broads been had it out for each other. It don't surprise me. It don't surprise me. That bitch looked crazy. And I'm like, yeah, I know. That bitch was crazy. She already had priors. Tried to stab a bitch because she thought that and didn't care. Went after and tried to kill her anyway. Tried to stab her. That was from 20 years ago. Her prior about her committing attempted murder on some other broad because she thought that she was messing with her boyfriend or something like that. And all of them were just haggard. I don't know what it is. I hate to get off subject, but bro, I'm here to say I don't know what it is. But actually, I'll take it back. I do know what it is. I know what it is now. You know why Memphis broads are so, butt face ugly? You know what it is that, because you notice, even in these HIV-ridden, it makes sense for a place like Atlanta to be overrun with HIV. I mean, besides all the punks and sissies you got down there and all that goofy ass, gay ass down low shit they got down there, right? Atlanta got some baddies. Unfortunately, they lay up with pookies who've been in and out the booty house. But a place like Atlanta, it makes sense that they would have such high HIV levels. Memphis, not so much, because it ain't nothing fine about this Memphis chick, bro. They ugly as fuck. That's just what it is. They butt ugly as fuck. Why is that? Who knew that it was the answer to that was in the Bible all along? Because the Bible says wickedness darkens a woman's countenance. And I was just thinking, bro, of all the fucked up females who came in my life and did what they did, basically showed they natural ass. One day it just dawned on me, bro. I was like, every last one of them bitches was ugly as fuck. And it shows. The ugliness shows on the inside just as well as it does at the outside. And when they got ugliness on the inside, it's only a matter of time before it shows on the outside. And the ones who did win the genetic lottery, it's only a matter of time before the ugliness comes out. And somehow they find their way around us and do what they do and be on their bullshit. And then the crazy thing to me is that there are niggas who are still willing to wife them and actually nut up in them. That's crazy. But hey, no matter. But I had to realize whatever went on this year with with my cousin and my uncle coming out here to visit me, with my father and my stepmother coming out to visit me, and with my mother being calling herself trying to be the overbearing mom, trying to reach out to me and call me and do all this stuff, and trying to get me involved in a fruitless conversation at the end of the day will probably just raise my stress levels and piss me off, because just have a whole bunch of nothing burgers to offer. What I finally come to realize, as I'm at this beacon of peace, and that's the ultimate goal. The end game isn't for all you bitches out there who think your coochie is so exceptional that men have to bow at the altar of your feet and do all kinds of grimy fuck satanic shit for your favor. The ultimate beacon of manhood is not you. The beacon of manhood, in addition to acquiring wealth, property, money, maybe children, is peace. It's peace. I would take peace, and I'm a freaky ass nigga, but I wouldn't, even if I did have access to the fairest and finest of females, bro, if that consisted of getting access to them meant having to go through the kind of bullshit that a lot of these rappers have to go through, which I'm pretty sure they got harem rates. I'm pretty sure they got all kinds of broads on their dick. But the bullshit that the ops, the cops, bro, all that bullshit they gotta go through, bro. Maybe that's what they mean when they say that this whole notion of sex isn't worth it. Because people have told me sex isn't worth it. And I'm like, with my sex drive going down, I don't think I'm on some ED type shit. I don't think I got erectile dysfunction. But sometimes, hey, some mornings are different. Sometimes I got the wood, sometimes I don't. I had it this morning. That's probably a little TMI, but I'm not a spring chicken, bro. I'm not 18 years old anymore, so I'm not a walking hard-on like I used to be. So I'm finally starting to realize that maybe it ain't worth it. It's not to mention, like I said, with what we just learned about Houston, bruh, it must not be worth it, because as freaky as I am, I don't want that bullshit. I don't want the hurt. I don't want the houses in Virginia, like AC calls it. I don't want none of that shit, let alone even the ones. I don't want the incurable cruds or the curable cruds. I don't want none of that shit. I'm good on all that shit. So I'm just gonna take it for what, face value, and say, it must not be worth it for all that bullshit. But I'll tell you what is worth it is peace. Peace. Take a look around you. See what I got going on right now? I'm in the park. We're out here in the moonlight, shining or beaming down on me. I don't know if the moon really shines. It more like reflects off the sunlight. But it is moonlight coming from the sun. But for lack of better words, I'll settle for the moon shining down or beaming down on me. And what do you hear? Quiet. To me, that's peace. And to the average woman, this is hell. This is their chaos. So that in and of itself tells me that maybe I ain't got no, and and that leads to my next realization as far as what the hell is going on. Because I genuinely believe, I don't know if I told y'all this too either, but here's my plight when it comes to members of the opposite sex, right? With them, again, being a slave to their emotions and revealing to me just who they are, I genuinely believe that the type of men we are, we just ain't got no business dealing with the women of today. And that separation is a must. It is a demand. It is a requirement from the Most High himself. Here's my thesis. Because some people genuinely believe, members of my family, that just like back then, we should be dealing with women now. Even with all the crazy ass examples of crazy ass females that we have personally gotten to witness, that we've seen others had to endure. I mean, celebrities, quote unquote, select men. But here's my thesis. When there was a point in the Garden of Eden, after the whole Lilith thing, after Lilith and got summoned to the bellows of hell and basically became Satan's wife. So this prompted God to create Adam's second wife, which we know as Eve. And then after the devil tempted Eve to eat of the fruit, there was a beacon. There was what I call a beacon of one being in sin and another being not being in sin, still walking around sinless. Eve was in sin. Adam wasn't. And see, with the whole purpose of God creating Adam, basically so that he would have a being on the earth to achieve godhood, so that he would be basically the walking, talking, physical manifestation of God in the flesh, much like we know Jesus to be, which is why Jesus considered himself the second Adam. I believe Jesus even called himself that, the second Adam. I'm trying to gather my thoughts, y'all. Forgive me. What would have happened? And I know it's a hypothetical, it's a what if, because a lot of people try to just get past it, and they're like, no. That was the point. That was the point. The hypothetical of what if Adam saw the fruit, knew what Eve had done, and said, and basically told Eve, bitch, didn't God tell you? Didn't I tell you that God told us don't eat of that fruit? What if the hypothetical is that question? Now, having said that, I'm going to tell you something else that's going on. I saw from New Breed. New Breed made this video a little while back. Ew, I touched something nasty, y'all. I thought it was my snot rag, but apparently it was somebody else's snot rag. But at least it just rained. But here's where I'm going with this, because New Breed came out with a video a couple of months ago about some broad who basically accepted the mark of the beast. Now her husband didn't, and that's a prime example. That's crazy, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. It was this dude, it was this military dude, and I think the bride, she was probably military too. It was a military family, and they was black. They had kids. She went, and bro, it's crazy because that's exactly what Eve did. Eve went somewhere